back to the channel again, and no, I'm not wearing the same clothes. Just shooting 2 videos in one day. We're on our way to the auto parts store. We're gonna go get us an oil change for the Corvette. Gonna show you how to do that. I thought I made a video of that already, but apparently not. So we're gonna do that now. But in the process, there's a couple of air leaks, which were giving us some of those numbers that we saw in the last video. So we're going to take care of some air leaks. That's unmetered air that's not being read by the computers. So we're going to take care of some air leaks. We're going to get a fresh oil change on this thing. It's time. And so I don't know about you guys, but my favorite oil or auto parts store is AutoZone. I don't know about you guys. Everybody has their own preference. I really enjoy my AutoZone. The store that I particularly go to here in my city, most of the guys do really well. I've only had one problem with one jerk. And, you know, I usually get, when I get angry, if I get angry or I get mad about something, it's usually forgotten about. Like 5 minutes later, I'm already done. I don't care well, I don't want to say I don't care what it was. I guess it depends on the situation. But for the most part, anything I've ever been angry about that I can think of, like little things to minor things, somewhere in the middle, whatever. It depends on what your scale is of what you consider to be, you know, angry or perturbed. I'm usually over it 5 minutes later. Now, years ago, but I've learned there's just way too much life to live and too many things to see and too many things to do and get to do, and man, I'm not wasting my time on anger. I'm trying to live my life. Notice how I look both ways? 2 and 3 times? This little suburban city I live in, these people are nuts. Nobody looks. People don't use blinkers. Hell, 2 cities north of where I'm at in Cleveland, I noticed the other day when I was driving the semi-truck, I'm like, I can't believe how many people don't know that they have brake lights out, turn signals out, all kinds of stuff. Like, go get those little things, or what little things like that are what getting you pulled over in the first place. It's not like you guys can see anything. I would do a quick little pull, but you can see by the trees going over. I'm obviously going down a side street. There's no other way. I'm like, in the time that you've seen me talking here, this 4 minutes, like 30 more seconds or so, I'll be at the auto parts store. I only got one more stop sign to go through. And see, I actually stop. Nobody stops. Corvette's got long tube headers, off-road, X-pipe. I have no cats, no mufflers. It's all straight piped. Off-road X-pipe, and then the chrome tips that I have on the back of the exhaust, which I would love to get rid of. I need some tips that are kind of gunmetal gray, like the wheels and the decals I've put on it so far. I'd like to get something like that, but here we are. We're at the zone. So we've got our Mobile One, full synthetic, high mileage, which technically it's over 75,000. We're only at 86,000 on the Corvette, but this is all what we're putting in, and we got our badass filter, everything. And he says that we got a discount on there for getting the oil change today. There we go. What did we do? What happened? I got 2 something off.
So you got $255 for the 10% and then $11.99 for the oil deal.
Oh, $11.99 off for the oil deal.
Yep. Test it. Make sure I give it a charge on it.
We're working it, guys. We're working it. Here's my rewards card.
1 second, I gotta wait on my
Oh.
computer real quick.
I'm always using my rewards card.
I have it pulled up through the oil deal, but still, I'll probably scan it just in case.
All right, we got our Mobile One stuff. Some Lucas. You know, I know I've used this before on other cars, but this will be the first time I'm using it on here, and only because I've seen how rich this pig is running. We're gonna try a little Lucas in there and get it to last a little longer until I can get the tune done. Now, the tune on the Corvette, I'm sorry to say, but I haven't found any polite people or cool people on the internet that are willing to help teach you, because somebody like me, I'm more of a hands-on learner. I think I just need to take the plunge and go ahead and do it. But other than that, man, I'm really excited. We got a lot of stuff going on this week. We're gonna get this oil change done next, and then get this video finished out. And I can't wait for you guys to see some more upcoming things we've got. So, as you know, in the world, it was messed up last week, or no, this weekend, Friday and Saturday. They were open for a lot of stuff, and apparently it rained everybody out. Crazy. So we're here back at the house now. Let's get pulled in. Let's get pulled in, get started on this oil change. We're gonna have to let this thing cool down, obviously, since we're driving it, but that's no time for you guys, because that's happening now. Okay, we got our Rhino ramps here. We got the lovely girlfriend helping with the car. Get our Rhino ramps under the wheels. All right, bring it up. So step 1, get the car in the air using jack stands, ramps, whatever you're gonna use. And we got it up in the air. We'll keep the girlfriend off the video for now so we don't get yelled at. She's laughing over there. All right, we got it up in the air. Let's get the hood popped. Ugh. All right, got the hood popped. We're gonna let this thing cool down for a little bit. For you, it will be nada. For you, it'll be like nothing. All right, so here we go. We got all our Mobile One stuff to fill back into the car. New oil filter. I'm gonna pull this cap off. Then we're gonna go underneath and get the old filter off and loosen up the drain plug. All right, so as you guys can see, long tube headers, off-road X-pipe, no mufflers, no cats. But here is the drain plug on the front of our bat wing, what they call a bat wing oil pan for Corvettes. So there's the drain plug. We're gonna get that loose and out and start draining into the oil pan. So our drain plug nut is a 15 mil. I got that loose and it should pop out of there any second now. You can see the oil dripping. There we go. Ooh, that's still warm. Still warm, and we're gonna give her a little snifferoonie. Yeah, it smells a little gassy. Not as bad as I thought it would be with the way those readings looked on that. So we'll let this drain out, and then we'll work on the getting the oil filter. Well, got that out, started draining it, and I noticed on the pan that we were using, somehow it got holes in it because it started peeing all over my driveway. I'll end up just pressure washing it clean anyway, but nonetheless, it still doesn't matter. It kind of sucks to find out that your pan's got holes in it. Alright, so our oil's still draining a little bit, so what I'm going to do is move the pan just enough that it still catches where it's coming out there, down to the pan, and then we're going to loosen this up. So we've got our ratchet on an oil filter socket. And we'll loosen this up just enough, because what's going to happen is every time, see? Every time the oil filter will pee on you too, so. Happens every time. So we'll wait till both of these are done peeing and we'll get it all off and show you the next step. Okay, here we go. So here's how I prep and get ready to put oil back into the car. So here's our oil filter. What I'm going to do is I'm going to fill this thing up with some oil. And it's going to, once you fill it up once, see it bubble in there? It's going to settle down. So once you get this done settling, then it's okay to start put it back on the car. What I like to do is dab a little here with some of the fresh oil and put it on the gasket ring. Just like that. Get a nice seal on there for when you put it back on. So I'm going to keep topping this off until it stops bubbling and it's completely full of oil. And I recommend doing this on any car. Any car. Go ahead and fill that oil filter up with oil. See, look at there. It's not going to settle down anymore. We're full to the top, and now we're safe to put it back. Now we're safe to put it on the car. And here we have our full oil filter. And we're gonna get that right back into place. There we go. Spin it nice and slow because we know it's full of oil. Although it looks, we're draining some down anyway, but this is, you want a full oil filter to go back on that car. And hand tight like that is all you need. You don't have to put that filter wrench back on there. It's just for getting them off. That right there, I promise you, is enough. Is absolutely enough for that to be sealed on there. And I'm just wiping oil more onto the header, so it's just gonna smoke. It's all right. Drain plug back in here. Now we're just gonna, I'm gonna get my rag, wipe everything down, so at the end when we're ready for startup we can see if we have any leaks, although I'm positive we don't. 86,000 miles on my Corvette. We're gonna give this a shot since I'm now running nitrous. So we'll fill that up. We've got the pan wiped off on the bottom. We wiped off the oil filter. We wiped around where the drain plug is. Now we're adding, we got our first quart. The quart that I used to fill the oil filter with, I already put in there. Now we're putting this in, and then we'll put about 3/4 of the big jug in there, and then we'll check our level and see where we're at. You can see I left in there about a quart and a half. Did I show it? I think you could see the shadow there of oil left in there, and filled it up. So we're gonna check the level and see where we're at. Now, these C5 Corvettes, 97, 98, I think it's the 04 actually, is 6.5 quarts. So 7 quarts. Your manual will say different, but what a lot of people don't, when I use 6.5 quarts, you have to keep in mind that what we did with the oil filter, we poured oil into the filter. So you lose that 3/4 of a quart or so in the filter, and then throughout the system and all the, where it just sits there. But when I do 6.5 quarts, that puts my oil level right every time. I've never been off. It's right in the middle of the hashtags, the hash marks on the end of your stick. 6.5 quarts every time is what I've always done. So let's check our oil and see where it says. Okay, so I pulled the stick out, got the initial wipe off, wiped it really good, and this is our first pull on the stick to see where it's at. And look at that, right in the middle of the hashes. 6.5 quarts. So I don't even have to add any more to what you see I pulled in. But I want to show you something. This happens once in a great while. I'm not perfect. Let's see, we got all the oil in. Let's give her a start real quick. Make sure the oil gauge reads. Perfect. Let's turn it back off. And then we'll wipe and recheck again. Okay, did a wipe and another pull. Look, I hope that's showing up on camera, but just like I said, right in the half of the hash marks. Perfect, 6.5 quarts. So a couple things I noticed. We're all done with the oil change. I showed you, we got back to the 6.5 quarts, right in the middle of the hash marks. Perfect. Ran it, made sure we got oil pressure. Wiped off everything on the bottom. No leaks. Now, a couple things that I like to check. I personally like to check when I do my oil changes. So here's one thing. I noticed that I've got some corrosion going on here on the terminals of the battery. So I'm going to pull all that apart. I'm going to clean all that up. One of the other things I noticed is, looks like this tire's a little low. So we're going to go around the whole car, make sure that all the tires are full, right where they're specified by tire, because if you go by what it says there on the door, that's for the original tires and wheels that came with the car, and obviously we have 2010 Corvette Grand Sport wheels on it. So we'll go by what that calls for, or what it says on the tire, -10. I think the tire says like 45, 55, something like that. I forget. Let's take a look here. It says, not on that one. Oh, there it is. Holy cow. Oh, 50 PSI is max load. So we'll take them to 40. I know they tell you 35, but don't forget that's also 80s and, skinnier, taller tires, stuff like that. Not this. Anyway, I'm happy. Got the oil change done. So I'll start another video and show you how I'm going to do clean up all the corrosion there. This cable here, all this is the reason I got a top and side post is the car calls for a side post, but I get a side and top because I like to use the top post positive terminal, and I use that to run a hot wire back for my stereo systems and stuff when I put in the cars. The LS swap Camaro, we're actually not even going to have the battery in the front there where it goes. We're going to move that right on to the back. We're going to have a rear mount battery with an on-off switch on it. So, all right.